carries and yards. Here's John Harbaugh, still confident that his team can stay aggressive on the ground Thursday night.
The run game is always a group effort. All 11 guys are involved in that, certainly, and I'm sure we'll run the ball on Thursday night.
People say it all the time, you got to trust the process, but we've been working for so long. It's going to happen. I'm telling y'all, it's about to happen. I'm confident in this team. We just got to keep on going, keep on trusting, and it's time to go show the world what we can do.
Okay, so a lot to unpack, again, ahead of what is a really important game. And Graziano, let me quickly start with you again, because I'm sure when this story came down yesterday, positive tests, game is 3 days away. There were fans wondering, well, is the game going to be played? What is the answer?
As of now, the answer is yes. Obviously, we'll await further tests. What they do is they identify everybody's close contacts and test them. And if you start to see something happen, like we saw earlier this season with Tennessee, where there was a team-wide outbreak, then maybe there's talk of postponement and rescheduling. As of now, the league is planning to proceed with that game as scheduled on Thursday. We'll monitor the testing results throughout the week.
All right, so that's that side of this story. There's a whole other side of the story, and Jeff, let's pick it up there, and that is that the Ravens, who bullied everyone in the league last year, have been on the other side of that this season. They got bullied in their own building by the Tennessee Titans on Sunday, and that created a lot of conversation on this show yesterday about just what the Ravens are. As you watch them, Jeff, Saturday, what are they?
Yeah, a mediocre football team. I mean, when you talk about the expectations of what this team was and is, I just heard Edwards. It was almost comical hearing him. Hey, we're right there on the edge. Well, what makes you believe that? I mean, other than that you're on the team, I understand you got to say it. But at the end of the day, this team is not physical on either side of the ball, and that's the scary part, right? Is the offense. We know they've had some offensive linemen go down. Stanley and Yonda retired, and so it's been more difficult for them to be physical on offense. But they can't sustain drives. But that's now leaked over to the defense. And I get Campbell and Williams have been out. But at some point, where's the nastiness of this football team, right? Where's the team that just comes, hits you in the mouth and doesn't care and shortens games and does all those things? There's nothing there about that right now. So when you talk about, hey, we're right on the cusp of turning this thing around, there's no arrows pointing to that direction for me, and that's the problem. When you talk about Thursday night against that Steeler defense, those boys are going to get after you, so you better be able to run the ball. It may be a heavy dose of Lamar Jackson running it or giving some RPOs, but something's got to change about how physical and nasty this Ravens football team plays.
Yeah, they don't have that from last year, and they don't have a quarterback who is having an historically great season. So, Greg, I turn to you. As we watch it, what is the right thing to say about where Lamar Jackson is right now?
Well, you had to go quite literally 2 plays into the game on Sunday to see Lamar Jackson's not seeing the field very well. Right now, it's, a situation where he's not very accurate. He's not making great decisions. If you look at some of the throws and the decisions he's making in the passing game, you're sitting there and you're seeing guys open on the field, and yet he's trying to force balls into windows down the field that are really low percentage plays. I'm not saying don't be aggressive, but understand too situationally that you guys are struggling offensively. Right. So the second you get off schedule, you're in trouble. He tries, look at 2nd and 7, second play of the game. He tries to force one into Willie Snead, almost gets picked off by a dropping corner. He's got Hollywood Brown sitting there at the sticks for an automatic 1st and 10. You see that show up time and time again. And then it's not exclusive to the passing game. He's making bad decisions in the run game. And then on top of it all, his receivers aren't helping him out. Right now, guys, they are tied for 29th. Tied for 29th in the NFL in regards to drop percentage. The only teams worse than them are the Cleveland Browns and the Green Bay Packers. So they are not a team that's catching the football with any consistency. And if they got a quarterback that's not seeing the field well, when he does deliver it in the right place, you better bring it in for him.
Listen, I'm old enough to remember when our analytics said they were favored in every game this season, and we were wondering if they might go 16-0. Now, all of a sudden, we're wondering if they might be on the outside of the playoff picture looking in. In other news, yesterday, Adam Schefter and our Bengals reporter Ben Beebe reported that Joe Burrow tore his ACL, his MCL, and suffered other structural issues in his left knee after injuring it Sunday against Washington. Yesterday, here on this show, Rex Ryan had the following thoughts about the injury to Burrow.
He's had more drop-back passes than any quarterback in the league. That's how you're going to handle a rookie quarterback with a horrible offensive line and a bad football team? That's not what you do to this kid. We love this football player. Let's protect him. I think it was reckless in the way they handled him. And look, it's unfortunate. I know the coach is remorseful about it now, but we saw it coming the whole season.
You know, he wasn't the only person I've heard say that, and we should put some numbers to it. Joe Burrow did throw more passes at the time he was injured than any other player in the NFL this year. Starting as a rookie, he dropped back to pass more times than any other player, and he was on pace to become the 6th rookie to take 50 sacks in a season. That's a list that includes David Carr, Tim Couch, and Blake Bortles. So those are the facts and the figures. Jeff Saturday, you heard what Rex said. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's a bad take. I mean, I understand looking back, you second guess, oh man, he had this catastrophic injury and we're all praying for him. It's devastating to watch. But the reality is that he gave your team hope, right? Every Sunday that he ran out there, you felt good about your chances being a Bengal fan and a Bengal teammate. And he gave you the best opportunity to win. That's why you draft him first in the draft. You don't draft him first to go let him watch guys go play. And the way that he played demanded that he be on the field, Greeny. I mean, when you're talking about a guy who's showing up every Sunday and performing to the level he is, you're going to bench him because ifs and maybes? Like, that's not the way football works. And look, I understand when you're looking back at how this could hurt their franchise and all those things, but this kid was playing above what everybody had expectations for him to do. To act like that we weren't cheering this guy on for how well he was playing the entire season, and then all of a sudden this awful injury happens, we're going to change our idea of, oh, he should have never been playing. This kid should have been playing. It's awful. I hate the injury, but you can't have regrets about putting your best player on the field, and that's what he is for the Bengals.
What do you think, Greg?
Well, here's my thing. What do you do? Put him in bubble wrap for 10 years and then hope he's a great player at 32? Like, the way you get better is by playing. The way you get better is by being put in adverse circumstances. And they just talked about it. Rex hit the nail on the head. We got a bad offensive line. Well, how the heck do you want him to move the football? You want him to just run it down people's throats? Like, what are we talking about? Yes, the only way the Bengals were going to win games this year, or, be competitive, is by dropping back and throwing it 50, 55 times a game. That was the only way they had a chance to be competitive. And by the way, they were competitive. They were 2-5-1, but really they only got blown out twice.
That's right.
There were only 2 games in which they had no chance to win. So they were in almost every game. And to consider this team what they were just a year ago, how much they've turned it around, in large part due to what they were doing with Joe Burrow, I just don't know how you can be critical.
That's
Hindsight's
right.
20/20, but I agree with Jeff. I think it's a bad take by Rex.
I understand what you're saying. I think there's more to it than meets the eye. We could talk about it further, but Graziano, I think it is important to get into just what the injury means. So we know now a little that the injury is more significant than your run-of-the-mill clean tear. I don't know if I'm using the right terminology there. We'll have Stefania Bell a little bit later with the details. But what do we know about when we might expect to see him again?
Yeah, the timetable we're given is these injuries generally take 9 to 12 months. Adam Schefter had that in that report as well. So that calls the start of next season into question. When you look at potential comparisons, Deshaun Watson tore his ACL in practice his rookie year. He was back for the start of the following season. But I don't think there were other ligaments affected. I could be wrong, but my memory says no. Carson Wentz had a multi-ligament injury in December of 2017. He missed the first 2 games of 2018. Remember, they were coming off the Super Bowl, and they started Foles at the beginning of the season. So Stefania can speak to this, whether the injuries are potentially